Hi, in this video we are going to talk about how to implement browser automation using Clojure, and specifically within Clojure a library called Etaoin. Let me show you this library. So normally when we do browser automation we typically rely on Selenium. However, there are modern implementations, modern protocols such as Webdriver, which helps us avoid all of the mess that comes with the ease of use, especially in Selenium. You would have to set up so many things. There is a Selenium server, and this rabbit hole keeps on growing. So WebDriver is an initiative in the Chrome world, from the Chrome world, and yeah, it's really useful, and many major browsers have implemented this protocol. And right now we are going to see a pure Clojure implementation of this WebDriver protocol, and here it is. So let me zoom in a little bit. So let's move on to the code. So in this library there are many this library has many capabilities. For example, it can mock, it can mimic user behavior like clicking or double clicking or clicking the middle button of the mouse, and moreover it can type like a human being, which means instead of typing every single thing at the same time, it can have pauses while typing. So and it can also query elements and take the mouse there and then click it. So it's a very robust library for browser automation. So here's the mouse click, and then you can even upload files using this library, save screenshots, and in the example we are definitely going to go through this screenshot uh, aspect. And then there's a, well, of course you can use headless browsers, but that's not really a big thing anymore. Apart from that, there is one special thing about this library, is that it gives you access to Chrome's dev tools, and which could be really useful in case you want to test things under various network conditions, and and want to find out how the rendering pipeline really works under various network conditions. So yeah, it can be used for regression and visual regression specifically. So yeah, it's a very nice library. It also saves the logs of the browser actions if you wish. Other than that, uh, the best way to learn this library, or any library actually, is just dive in, write code, automate things, and have fun. So that's exactly what we are going to do. And in this repository, we have added our code. You will notice one thing that I'll mention right now, but if you want to continue working on this code or use this as a starting point, what I have done is that I have used the sources, the resources, sorry, to store a file called secrets. And right now it doesn't really have any secrets, to be honest, but you are supposed to add your username and password for Reddit in order for this library to work. And these are the path of the browser and the Gecko driver. For Chrome you would have to set up Chrome driver. So rather than getting into that right now, let's get started. So let me show you how to set up the REPL first of all. In this example I have already set it up, but I'll show you how to get this done. So I'm using IntelliJ. You can see I'm using IntelliJ with the cursive plugin. You can get it simply by saying, so it gives you a lot of features, very nice features to work with Clojure, and I highly recommend this plugin. Also, you could have worked just with Spacemacs or other things. However, when you want to do professional development, this is really what's the best way out there to get started quickly without jumping into so many setup troubles. So yeah, I highly recommend Cursive. Another thing is, uh, let's see, edit configuration. There you go. and within this we can say plus, then we can go Clojure REPL, and then right now we are working on, we want to start the Clojure REPL within this same JVM process, right? So we'll click on local, and then we'll say CLJ, run with IntelliJ, not with IntelliJ class path, we'll run with deps. We are not going to use any alias, but deps is a very nice project, so it will show you. Yeah, so it's an official way to manage dependencies. It's a very simple way as well, and there are lining in, there is boot, but this is actually very simple to use, so I would recommend that you get started using deps. And I think that perhaps GitHub is a little bit slow to respond right now, because other websites seem to respond. Let me test. No, I think it works now. Yep. Yeah, so it's a very nice way to get started with Clojure. You don't even need IntelliJ or Cursive to get the REPL up and running. You can just download this and download any dependency and start the Clojure REPL. So this enables the CLJ and CLJ Clojure, basically Clojure and CLJ command lines, terminals, terminal REPLs to be more precise. So yeah, let's get started with the code, and I'll show you how things work here. So you can leave everything else the same, you just need to say apply, and then it should be set up. And to start the REPL, I would press control twice and type in CLJ in capital. This would open up the REPL very soon. Yep, about to open up. Well, this is the JVM warm-up time, so it doesn't usually work like that, but if you don't have a JVM running in the background, it's probably going to take a little bit of time to download the dependencies. Let me show you the dependencies as well. The basic dependency is of course Clojure. We are on the latest version right now, and then there is Etaoin, and you can see we are using deps, which is for tools.deps. And once these are set up and downloaded in the local Maven repository, you get your REPL. And the way I like to see my REPL actually is at the left bottom. Oh, whoops, not there. Bottom left is the word. Yeah, so I like seeing this here. In this project, I'm using Liberica JVM, which comes bundled with the Java FX library. So it's really nice to use. And yeah, so we are all set to get executing the code. Let me open up the code outline. So yeah, the other thing I would like to tell you is that I'm using Vim key bindings. So like this, go up and then go 10 lines down. So this is also another productivity boost, but there are other things like structural editing in Clojure. For example, I do this, and now it's automatically bound within another set of parentheses. And let me show you how it was. It was simply this, and now it has two set of parentheses. Let's revert it. So let's execute the first line. Initially, we want to get the driver or the browser started in an automated mode. So the initial line is basically importing the libraries. After that, we are going to read the resources, and the secrets file is pretty much the same as shown here, but I have replaced my username and my password with actually my username and my password. So can't share that right now. Another thing is I have added a draft post. What we are going to do is that we are going to automate the browser to open up Reddit, log in, go to the drafts page, write a message and save the draft. At the same time, create a snapshot of that draft, right? So let's get started. Gonna be fun. We read the secrets, we read the draft, then we start the driver. And right now I'm really using Firefox Developer Edition, and along with it the Gecko driver, of course, but you are free to use Chromium or Chrome or anything like that, and it should work out fine. So for the ease of use, I have moved the browser within the same tab, within the same window, and let me execute this function. This is the login function. What it does is basically in the docstring itself. Let me close this. Yeah, so it visits the Reddit login page. Here's the code for visiting the login, and to account for the networking conditions, I have added a wait time after every statement. So just in case you have a slow internet, this should still be working. Another thing is and I would ask the driver to query this specific set of tags, and this would enable the login. And after that, just click on that input field and then type in the secret username and then type in the password. After that, just click on the submit button. The next thing is, once I have reached the login page, not login page, once I have reached the home page for Reddit, I'm going to execute another function, which is create draft post, and this function is going to create the actual draft, and then finally it's going to take a screenshot and then exit. So these are two helper functions right now. Let's close this since it's done. Let's move down. Let's execute this as well. And then finally we are able to, we are at the verge of executing our main. So that should work. Oh, I need to switch over to the core name. Yeah, there it goes. So this REPL actually works as per the namespace. So moving on to the flow of events, we have logged in, we have clicked on the submit button, and now we are going to reach out to the Reddit homepage. The next thing is, at this point the execution of login is done. At this point we are going to start execution for create draft post, but it seems it's not visible right now, that's why it's not clicked. But when you run it on a headless mode, etc., so this browser size does not really matter. In that case, you feel free to run it anyhow you want. But let me just run this as this part of it. So now we have reached the submit draft or write a message screen. Here we are adding our draft. Here's the draft, and then it should say save draft. We have saved the draft. Only after that it changed to update draft, and so we are eventually free from the execution now. And let's have a look at the generated draft post. This is the post, and you notice the size of the screen. It is like this because I chose to keep this on a split screen basis. But if in case you want to run it headless, then it would definitely show the entire width of the screen, and it would function normally. So that's pretty much it for the video. But if you want to learn more about this library, more about taking snapshot of individual elements, you feel free to go through the API. I have linked the API within the documentation, within the README itself, and let me show you the README. Yep, and here's the README. So it has a lot, it has many aspects. You can use CSS path, you can use CSS selectors, you can use XPath, and you can also use the keys aspects. So this is used for basically browser interaction, uh, mocking user interaction with the browser. So you have many kinds of keys here, so this should work. Another thing is you have the base API, of course. Let's just explore that a little bit. You have many functions which come predefined with this. Get element size, get element L. So these L, the functions which end with an L in the end, expect you to pass directly an element, right? So yeah, you can also scroll, get window position, you can get the title, URL, anything like that. And since it is in Clojure, and the fact is that the code base is not very big. If you go inside the code base, you'll see just maybe 10 or 12 files. And let's go through the base API. This API might be big because it has many functions already, but if you take care, or if you focus on a single function, that's it. This is the only width, this is the only bandwidth you actually need to understand. But this is really helpful when you want to define your own functions. So let's say, for example, you don't have this library doesn't have a function which you specifically want for your use case testing environment. So what you can do is that you can come here, read the source code. It's really simple. You can read the tests as well, and extend this library, because Clojure is a dynamic language. You can actually and the fact that all of the functions are defined as multi-methods, you can extend them even at runtime. So this library is very patchable. So it's a great library to work with. Other than that, I would say just find out things you would like to execute or automate specifically, and just learn this. It's a really nice library. Just another little point here. You see that there are two specific functions related to JavaScript execution, which means that you can write JavaScript within your Clojure code, and maybe use this for scraping if you wish. And also you can run multiple browsers using multiple drivers at the same time. This is a really nice feature for cross-browser testing and catching snapshots, say visual regression, etc. So yeah, I hope that this video has been useful to you. So thank you for watching, and don't forget, you can find the repository over here, right? Thank you. See you next time.